My name is Ren Camacho, President and CEO of the Akron Canton Airport. This is a day that's been long in the coming. We are commemorating the Funk Model B aircraft that you see above you all. This is, again, commemoration, partnership with long-standing partners at the MAPS Air Museum. The preservation of aviation history is something that the airport wants to be a part of, and having that collaboration with MAPS over this tenure of many, many years, even prior to the aircraft going up, is something to be acknowledged and recognized. So I would say I'm looking at Kim Kaveshi of MAPS Air Museum. Over 2 years ago at this point, I approached him about an idea of looking to hang something above the atrium here that you're all inside. Didn't quite know what it would look like, and decided to engage Kim to see if there was something we can hang there. And I won't steal Kim's thunder nor Bruce's thunder. I know they have some stories to relate to the aircraft, but long story short, the idea of hanging this aircraft that you see above you was produced and put forth here at the airport with the management team, and we all decided that it was a great plan to move forward. And again, the aircraft belongs to the MAPS Air Museum. It's basically on loan, and we're grateful, so grateful to have the MAPS folks be able to partner with us to hang the aircraft in January of this year. So over a year's worth of time, a lot of hard work and dedication from the MAPS staff. They had interns, students, others that were obviously the MAPS veterans who are volunteers to help put some of the aircraft wing together. I believe one of the two wings, and other parts of it, of course, over time. And again, a true partnership with MAPS. I check in every so often with Kim and Bruce, and yep, it's coming. It's one thing here, one thing there, and slowly came together in January of this past year. And we really wanted to have this event, this actual formal commemorative event, in the, I would say, late March, early April timeframe. But again, as the message indicated earlier, you heard that COVID-19 hit, and we had to take preventative measures to ensure a safe and sanitized airport. So here we are several months later, not too little, not too late, and again, wanted to thank you all for coming out, and want to acknowledge, again, the partnership and collaboration with MAPS to allow this aircraft to be installed. Many thanks to our CAK airport team, our building maintenance team, our management staff, Mr. John Fenton, who was a consultant we hired, a structural engineer, to cross-check some of the calculations, as well as the MAPS volunteers who helped put the piece together, the aircraft, I should say, together on a couple of nights, 3 nights in a row that we worked to bring it in, put it together, and then hoist it with a very elaborate system of gantry cranes and rope and that type of thing. So again, kudos to the MAPS team, to the airport team that were here late in the morning, those mornings, to put the aircraft up that you see in front of you, a beautiful specimen. Civil Air Patrol folks as well that had an inherent part of this historically with the aircraft need to be recognized, and they'll say a few words in a moment here. But without further ado, I want to bring Kim Kaveshi of the MAPS Air Museum up front. So thanks again to everyone.
Thanks, Ren. We really appreciate the partnership with the Akron Canton Airport, and we've been here for 30 years. And people don't know that. This is our 30th anniversary. We started out with 1 airplane in a corner of one of the buildings over there. And we've grown it to where we have 52 airplanes. We have about 800 memberships. We have documented about 58,000 volunteer hours. So this is not a little place. We have 2 rooms that are fantastic, that are world-class museum space. We have about 140 displays there. Our mission is to educate the public on the history of aviation and its impact on man. I can't think of a better way to do this than to display this airplane. People ask me all the time, how do we get these airplanes? A lot of times I'll just get called up by somebody and say, hey, I've got this airplane, do you want it? And my first answer is, yeah, what is it? I say yes before I know what it is. Sometimes I've gotten burnt because it doesn't fit on a truck. But in this particular case, the guy came and said, it has a history from Akron. And I said, wow, this is pretty cool. I went around and asked everybody what it was all about. And they told me, and I said, we'll go get it. And I knew immediately who to go get it. Bruce and John are the guys who had just come back from picking up another airplane. And I said, can you guys go down to Tennessee and get this thing? And they said, sure. So it was pretty cool how they went back down and got it. And then I was talking to Ren about something over at one of the events, and he said, we'd like to put an airplane up, hang it from the atrium. And I said, well, I got the right airplane for you. It happens to us all the time. We get airplanes that have a meaning or that are supposed to be here. We picked up a Blue Angel. We didn't know why we did. We ended up dedicating it to a lieutenant commander who was killed in 1982. We picked up our F-16 and we dedicated it to a Ohio National Guard pilot who was killed in 2007. And we picked up a long time ago an F-4 Phantom. And it's going to be dedicated to Mr. Shopner. Okay, he was a lieutenant and he was killed in Vietnam. What we didn't know at the time is that airplane was on the ship and was flown by Mr. Shopner during the cruise that he was killed. So these things line up, and it's pretty scary when we start going through all the events that have tied together and these special situations where we don't know why we're doing it. I don't know why we're going to go pick this up, but we do. And all of a sudden, we have an airplane hanging in the Akron Canton Airport. How cool is that? This is actually a pretty fun project. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to place this airplane up where everybody can see it and talk about the history of Northeast Ohio. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bruce Ballow, and my family's operation or dedication to this airport dates back to 1943, when my grandfather's corporation, Hercules Motors, was one of the 10 corporations from Stark County to donate money to build this airport. So we've been around this airport just a few years. In 1947, my father wrote a check to build one of the first T-hangars on this airport. So my father was flying out of this airport in 1947. So we have a long-standing love for this airport. Well, one day at MAPS, I walked in and saw Kim. Kim asked me, have you ever heard of a funk? Yes. Do you want to go get one? Yes. Where? Well, next thing I know, I'm getting a hold of my friend John Harris, and we're jumping in the truck with a trailer, and we're on the way to Tennessee. Basically, I asked, you want to do a road trip? His answer was, yes. So on the return trip, after loading the airplane up in Crossville, Tennessee, I started going through the logbook, because there's not a lot to look at going down the highway in a pickup truck. So I grabbed all the manuals and paperwork, started going through, and I go, Eureka, we found it. We found on the paperwork where this airplane had served in World War II with the Civil Air Patrol. Well, we knew that had to be restored in that configuration. So as Ren had talked about, coming to the airport one day and looking for an airplane to hang, and that's when we told him that this aircraft was just built 20 miles up the road at Akron Fulton Airport in 1940. What better representation than a locally built airplane dealt with the Civil Air Patrol during World War II to dedicate to an airport built in started in World War II. So with John Harris as kind of a co-leader on the team of very dedicated, very talented individuals, we spent several months, almost a little over half a year, I think it was, working on the airplane. And where John's interest came in, and I want to thank all of those volunteers, But John's interest came in when he grew up 4 miles away from the factory where this airplane was built. So that was a lot of close personal attention. So he studied the history of the Funk, the airplane, the Funk brothers, and it was quite a lot of fun to go through the details, the histories, the work, the requirements, searching for parts, finding parts that don't exist anymore, as I often call it, parts made out of unobtainium. We managed to find original cowling and everything to make it look the way it looked in 1940 when it left the factory. It was truly a team effort. And one of my favorite lines as a pilot is, "I haven't left one up there yet." Well, now I have. So I want to thank you all for the team for their effort, all the support we received, and now for representing the Civil Air Patrol, Lieutenant Colonel Creed.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Paul Creed, commander of the Akron Canton Senior Flying Squadron of the Civil Air Patrol, located right here at CAK. I want to give you just a few moments to talk about the history of the Civil Air Patrol. The Civil Air Patrol was formed on December 1st, 1941, just 1 week before the bombings at Pearl Harbor. Since the early days of the war in 42 and 43, in which the men and women who are still here in country defended the East Coast and the Gulf Coast from the German incursion, Civil Air Patrol continues to this day supporting Homeland Security. Civil Air Patrol was one of the very first aircraft to fly after 9/11, which is fitting considering we're only a few days away from the 19th anniversary of that terrorist attack. The world looks very different in the past 20 years since those attacks, but Civil Air Patrol continues to serve the community, state, and nation. During the COVID-19 crisis, Civil Air Patrol members have flown personal protective equipment, COVID test kits all over the country to get that equipment and test materials where it needs to go as soon as possible. The Civil Air Patrol is made up of over 55,000 members, stretching from coast to coast, including squadrons across the world in Germany and Japan. The Civil Air Patrol has the nation's leading youth development program in which 12-year-olds can join and learn about aviation and learn about leadership. Our adult members perform Homeland Security missions, whether it be flying with local fighter units, such as up in Toledo, in intercept training, whereby Civil Air Patrol acts as an aggressor, someone who's not obeying temporary flight restrictions so that the fighter pilots can train on how to intercept slow-moving general aviation aircraft, to flying missions up in Syracuse, New York, escorting MQ-9 Reapers in the Class C airspace to ensure that they transit the airspace safe and sound while we awaited new radar technology to be installed. Civil Air Patrol members dedicate their time to secure our nation. Aviation is in Ohio's DNA. From the birth of Orville Wright nearly 150 years ago to over 24 astronauts, aviation is at the heart of Ohio. We have leading aviation schools in Kent State University. We have a large number of Air Force installations from Youngstown, Mansfield, Toledo, Springfield, and of course, one of the largest Air Force installations in the world, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton. Aviation, again, is at the heart of Ohio, and I'm proud to see this aircraft in Civil Air Patrol paint hanging from this beautiful airport. Thank you for coming out. Be safe, everyone. Thank you.
Again, another thanks to the Maps Air Museum folks, Kim, Bruce, Lieutenant Colonel from Civil Air Patrol. Thank you for your time this morning. At this point, we have a commemorative plaque that we want to unveil. I'm going to ask the MAPS folks as well as the Civil Air Patrol to come forward to help unveil with me, if that's okay.